to actually, thank you, Jim. I'm actually going to rename myself, and I ask that you do too. I have a little slide about that. I think most people know how to rename themselves. So I'm going to put my name and my neighborhood. That's what we're really interested in. I'm sure our guest is interested in that too. And I'll go ahead and share the slides. But I first, before we do that, I see John Harrison from Peacock Gap. How you doing, John? Everybody unmute yourself. This is just like, how's everybody doing moment?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Great. Kevin is our treasurer. Hello, from Glenwood Neighbors. How you doing over there?
Good.
Great. And Alex Fulmer, so nice to meet you. Alex is from Spinnaker Point. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Alex.
Oh.
I didn't even have a chance to talk with Richard. It's been a busy week for all of us, but out of the blue, Alex called me and he said, you know, I'd like Spinnaker Point to join us again. And I was so happy.
Wow. Welcome.
Right?
Delighted to have you here.
So we had a really nice conversation.
Like an organization we should be a part of.
Absolutely. Happy to have you.
Really
Thank
happy
you.
about that. So welcome. And he's going to bring it to his board within a week. And then Sunny Lee. Hello, Sunny. She's here from Southern Heights. She is the Southern Heights watchdog. This woman is on. She catches everything, and we appreciate that. Thank you, Sunny. Wes, oh, you're from Southern Heights too.
Yes, I am.
Hello. I don't know if I've met you.
No, I'm new to the group here. Sunny invited me tonight, so thank you.
Nice. Glad you're here. Lori, are you going to be turning on your video or not?
She's muted.
Okay. Sue, hello, Sue. Are you going to be putting your video on?
Sure, we're just eating dinner, but happy to do that.
Come on. In this era, we share. It's a share.
Anyway,
Era. So you're in the West End.
yes, it's Glenn and me, and we're former members of the West End Neighborhood Association Board, but definitely interested in the neighborhood. So I thought it would be an interesting meeting to attend.
Fabulous.
And again, hats off to you two from us. Thank you for all you guys have been doing during this crazy time.
Oh, well,
You can't see.
it's important work. And, you know, as I'm sure you could guess, we're all super busy, but we know this is an important job to have. And then who's next? Joss Robertson from my neighborhood. Hello. Go ahead and put your neighborhood next to your name if you would. It'd be great. And then Gail, what is your last name, Gail? If you would be willing to put your name and then your neighborhood next to your name so that when April's talking with you, she knows where you're from. Gail, can you hear me?
If you can do that with an iPhone.
Oh, okay. And thanks for naming yourself, Lori. And then Daniel is our scribe, and he is the president of West End Neighborhood Association. Thanks, Daniel. Sandra, where are you from? Unmute yourself. Sandra? Maybe she can't hear me. Hey, Jeff Rhodes. Jeff Rhodes lives in unincorporated San Rafael, right? Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, I live between Happy Valley and Country Club.
Okay. Okay, near the shore, as they say.
Yep.
Jeff is with Resilient Shores, and we're so happy that you're here. Then Sandra, Jonathan. Hello, Jonathan. Jonathan's a Gersel Park neighbor. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Cool.
A minute ago, I could see you, but I'm still trying to figure this out on my phone.
Okay.
I didn't do the laptop, but I'm doing well. I'm staying dry.
Cool. And now, Jonathan, if anybody ever has a problem with being seen, like we can't see you, Jonathan, and Sandra, we can't see you. I think Lori is going to keep her video off. Gail, it's an iPhone. But yeah, you can just leave the meeting and join again, and it may be just that would be enough if you want your video to be on. Gail, what is your last name? Go ahead and unmute yourself. And what neighborhood are you from? Okay, I don't think we'll hear. I'm going to share my slides as Jim lets people enter. Thanks to Jim. And let me get to the first slide. And here we go. So let's just go to the beginning here. This is our, what we call our general meeting. General meetings with the Fed generally speaking, include a guest and open to everyone who would like to attend. And then we have our steering committee meetings, and we're going to have one after this at about 8 o'clock when the 8 of us, there may just be 7 of us present tonight, do things like look at our calendar, decide what we're going to be doing for our annual meeting, et cetera. So that's kind of the difference. This is being recorded, and we thank you for attending. And you know that our guest tonight is April Miller. And I've asked you to rename yourself with your neighborhood next to your name. It's a way of getting to know you. And I think you all know how to do it. You hover your cursor over the 3 dots in your Zoom picture, and you type your name and your neighborhood, and then you just click return or enter. And we ask that you mute yourselves once we've started the program. But in fact, I'm going with using the chat icon at the bottom for your questions. And then Richard, if you would just keep an eye on the questions and oversee those, we can make sure that April gets asked all the questions that are in there. And I have a couple of questions that were sent to me in advance.
Yep.
So anyway, Jim can help you with anything, of that nature, chat or tech. Just write a note in chat and say, could you help me with a question? And we'll let you unmute yourself. It's just a way of getting to business. Our steering committee, we have, as I mentioned, I'm Amy. Richard is here. You want to wave? Kevin is here. Do you want to wave? Daniel is here. I'm not sure if your video is live. Wave. Jim is here. You want to wave? And Joy is here. Kate Powers, I'm not sure. Is she here yet, Jim?
Do not see her.
She's going to maybe join us later. And how about Greg? No, he said he would come too. And Nina is pretty much on leave as far as I can tell. All right. So this is our mission. Our purpose is to facilitate communication and interaction among the neighborhoods in San Rafael, as represented by their associations, groups, and individuals. Many of us are individual members, like my husband Joe and I are. And then the Gerstle Park Neighborhood Association, where we live, is also a member. So that's kind of how we roll. And most of the decisions are made by the steering committee or at our annual meeting in February. And sometimes we actually go to the associations to help vote. We have a website, thanks to Jim, and we have an email address as well that you can communicate with us. And my phone number, I think, is on the website if you ever need to call. So in just a second, I'm going to turn this over to April, but I have a couple of announcements, the kind of things you may have already received in your inbox. And then, as I said, we'll just have a half an hour steering committee meeting once we're done, and we'll talk about the annual meeting. We give out annual grants, and we'll have reports on our associations. The first announcement is from the Park and Recreation, from the library, assistant librarian, who is coordinating what's called the Park and Recreation Master Plan. And if you're interested in how the parks and things like the community centers look, and the libraries as well, and how they serve you, they're urging you to attend this meeting. Now, when Jim has a chance, he's very, very busy professional, but when he's a chance, he'll put this slideshow up on our website, and you can click, all of these will be live. You can click on these links. It's a Zoom meeting. And so there'll be a presentation of the master plan. A lot of us gave input for that. And then if you'd like to make further comments, you can do that as well. Then the next meeting will be the next day. So there'll be 2 in a row. And this will all be, there's a lot of verbiage here, but this will be for you to read afterwards. Here's another announcement of our new council member, Damon Connolly, is inviting us all for a meet and greet, community coffee, discuss legislation, community ideas. issues, ideas, or just come and say hello. And that is at Aroma Cafe on Saturday, 9 to 11. And he's going to treat for the coffee. And before we start with April, I guess I wanted to, let me just escape and ask if there are any other announcements. Jeff, did you want to make an announcement about going forward about the Bridge District, or about any other public meetings that you're connected with?
I think at this time, no, you probably all are aware that on November of last year, a Transportation Authority of Marin presented the progress of the 101-580 direct connector project to the City Council. They also presented their findings on a proof of concept that they prepared on an East Santa Fe interchange proposal that Resilient Shore presented to Transportation Authority of Marin. They are proceeding with 3 different ramp alternatives to an environment to the EIR for the EIR. Their finding for our interchange proposal was that it was feasible, however, not desirable because of the particular design criteria that they established. And we would like them to proceed based upon the actual design proposal that we had, and we'll see if we can convince them to do so. Our concern is that all of this traffic is being routed through Santa Fe, and a lot of local problems, particularly associated with Bellem Boulevard traffic backing up onto 101 and 580 are not being solved, and that is a distinct concern for much of East Santa Fe. So we'll continue to work on this and work with Council Member Lorenz Galati and see if folks in East Santa Fe and other affected communities like Bret Harte are interested in voicing their concerns about the proposed direct connector project. Stay tuned.
Jeff, I'm going to ask if you wouldn't mind to put into chat a way of contacting you if you're interested in what many of us consider to be, actually a great idea, which would be to have exits that would service East San Rafael from the new direct connect, highway project that Caltrans has proposed. Jeff's group, Resilient Shores, has come up with an idea, and I'm sure that if you would like more information, he could send you more information. And so go ahead and put your name and your phone number or your email address there. Does anybody else have some announcements before I turn this over to April? I'm just going to briefly mention that in February is when we have our annual meeting, and Richard and I are attempting to find a date that works for Mayor Collin to address the Fed. Our typical date, which is the second Thursday in February, she's already booked on. So stay tuned on that. We'll let you know as soon as we know when our meeting in February, hopefully it'll be in February, will be with the mayor. Any other questions or announcements? All right, I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to go to our guest. And April Miller, you may know that April Miller is while she served as I think it was called assistant director to the Department of Public Works when Bill Guerin was the director, she assumed directorship upon his retirement. And as everyone knows, there's a lot going on in our town in her department. And so we invited April to just take a look at the neighborhood map and see what she could tell us about, because her folks oversee the maintenance of the parks, even though with the storms, it's like all hands on deck, literally on deck, to keep our town functioning. She has all kinds of information about projects that we thought we'd let her share with us. So I'm going to stop sharing, and Jim's going to spotlight you, April. Where is April? There she is. And just go ahead and if everybody would mute themselves, and aside from maybe Richard and me, and April, and then now the question you have, Alex, is that a question for April or is that a question for me? You have to unmute yourself.
Sorry, if I posed a question, it was inadvertent.
Okay, I'll lower your hand. All right, so April, you want to unmute yourself and I can do the spotlight.
Sure. I did throw together some slides this
I'll make you,
this evening. It doesn't cover everything because it's kind of been a crazy 3 weeks, but
okay.
I
You're,
did throw
you're a co-host now.
Okay,
Go ahead.
okay.
Sorry.
So I just figured that I'd show some of what I could easily share. Okay. So yeah, I'm just gonna go over a few projects that are happening that I think a lot of people know about, some of them at least. So 3rd Street's been under construction for quite a while now, almost a year. And so we're actually anticipating construction to be done in late spring, early summer. The last 2 operations that are the reason why it's getting kind of pushed back is that we have to pave, we're gonna pave at night, and it has to be warm enough at night for us to pave. And then something that's gonna happen after summer is that the trees, we actually don't allow trees to be planted until it's winter or fall. So since we are not at that stage yet, the trees will likely not go in until the fall of next year. So those will happen after majority of construction's done. So here's on the right is actually the new cycle track that's going in on 2nd Street. It's a 2-way cycle track that they were constructing over the last couple of weeks. They've been finishing that up. Another thing that's happening is we received a bunch of different grant money over the last week. Some of the grant money we received is actually to redo the 2nd and 4th Street intersection. So right now, if you try to cross this intersection as a pedestrian, it's 4 to 5 crossings. Right now, I kind of tried to point out which ones they were. So we really want to improve that crossing and the confusion that happens at this intersection. So there's currently a concept plan that's just fresh off the press. There's a public meeting that we have set for later this month. So if you want to find out more information, there's you can scan this. I'll give this presentation to Amy so she can share it with everybody. But yeah, there's more information on kind of what's happening. We're just gathering feedback on this concept, and yeah, so there'll be more coming up. If you want to provide any questions or comments, we'd be happy to take them. This is just our first step. Another big item that I know of interest to a lot of people is we're doing our phase 2 of converting the downtown streets to 2 directions. As you know, about 2.5 years ago, we converted C and D Street to 2 ways due to the Public Safety Center and to help with the response time for both police and fire coming out of that building. So there's 1 street that's left in the north-south direction that's 1 way. So we are looking at converting that also to 2 ways. So there's a community meeting for that next week. Or if you want to contact Nat Vaughn, he's our new traffic engineer. He replaced Lauren Davini. I know some people knew Lauren because she went to grad school. So feel free to email him and email him and he can give you a call to talk about that. We're meeting with all the businesses on B Street to talk to them about that conversion. Another update, just because my team is also working on this. So there's a bunch of the outdoor dining that's in the parking spaces we call streeteries. We recently changed the program downtown. So just this is a slide that got presented at the Economic Development Committee this morning, but just as an update, there's about 53% that are going to be removed downtown. Most of those are the ones that don't look very nice and are kind of falling apart. And then we have had a few people who've expressed interest in continuing theirs. And so we have all these guidelines that are on the website for the business owners. And so we're working with people on getting their streeteries up to compliance if they want to continue to be part of that program. Another just program that my department's in charge of is the payment management program. So the last couple fiscal years, we did back-to-back this summer, and then we're looking at doing the next one. So right now, we're focusing on pavement maintenance, which is a microsurface or a slurry seal, kind of just coating the asphalt to have it last longer. The city's been really behind on doing maintenance over the last few years. They've been doing more of like a grind and overlay, but the dollar stretches a lot further for just doing pavement maintenance. So we're spending a few years on just trying to maintain as many roads as we can to get them in better condition, and then we can go back and start focusing on the poor roads in the city, or the ones that are not the pavement's not as good. So yeah, I think we did 18 miles in the last 2 years, which is pretty significant. And this next fiscal year, we're doing North Santa Fe, some of the major roads up there. And then there's a couple roads that we still need to do in the Canal neighborhood. But if you want to find out more information, I just keep giving a bunch of the websites. So we have we have websites for all of this, all of our different projects. Another thing that is going on right now is that we're dredging the Santa Fe Canal. The federal government gave a bunch of money towards doing the center of the canal, and then the city's also picking up helping some of the property owners with dredging their properties. So typically the dredge window has to end at the end of November, but we've got it extended all the way through the end of February, just based on all environmental agencies gave it the extension, but they just really want to get this project done and help us out there. And we're actually going to be, they requested by Montecito and right by the Grand Avenue Bridge, they've requested dredging for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for about 2 to 3 weeks. So that's mostly on the west side of the canal. Everything else is right now from 7 to 7. Amy already mentioned this, but my department's also heavily involved in the Park and Rec master plan. So our recreation and library department, they manage all of the different programming and kind of what's happening in all of the parks. And my department maintains all of the parks, and we help do any of the construction projects. So right now we're working on Sun Valley Park, which is torn up. If whoever's been by there, that should be done by, the new playground should be installed by April. We actually received a grant for that project. And then so whatever comes out of this Park and Rec master plan, we work very closely with the Parks Department and on design and community outreach. And so it's a very collaborative interaction between the two departments. So as Amy mentioned, there's a couple meetings next week, and then it will be presented to City Council probably in late February, maybe or May. See, this is what happens when you do your presentation right before March, early March, not May. I just wanted to bring something up. The best way to get a hold of people and at Public Works and to report what's going on is to go on the website. I have received a ton of emails in the last 3 weeks, and I'm trying to stay up on them, but we just have so many issues going on with the storm drains and drains in the storms that the one place that we look first is when people go on the website, they go to report an issue, it leads them to a program called See-Click-Fix, and you can actually locate on a map where you have problems, whether it's drainage, illegal dumping, potholes. This is where our maintenance team, this is the program that they use, this is the program our admin use. And then eventually if I get emails, I eventually put them in here. So if you want to have something reported sooner, I recommend just going straight to the website. That's the best place. And then there's status associated with it. But if you have reported something in the last 3 weeks that's not related to drainage, it likely has not been responded to. So that's just kind of just what's happening right now. We'll get to them eventually. Our sole focus has been the storms. And so, yeah, I just want to say thank you. I'm here for questions. Here's my team out in the ditch this over the last couple of days. And so I would have put together more, but we had a very busy day up in Southern Heights. As I know some of you guys know, we did have to close a road that we're going to be working on over the next couple months. And so, yeah, there's a lot more to come. Please feel free, ask me questions, and I try to do my best.
Thank you so much, April. I think with Richard, are you cool with just asking some of the questions that are in chat? And when those are done, I've got a couple that people emailed me in advance. And Mark, you've already put your question in chat, right?
I see one question in chat, Amy, and I'll start with that. Evidently, and I'm not familiar with this particular area, but evidently there is a public stairway on Second that goes up into the Gerstle Park neighborhood that is currently closed. Are you aware of that? And if so, why is it closed and when will it be open?
Yeah, if it's the stairway closest to Miramar, which I assume is the question here. Yeah, that's actually not city property. So we've done some research on the different stairways leading up from Second Street, and the city actually doesn't own a couple of the staircases going up into the neighborhood there. So they've been closed. The city, from what I've heard, has closed them due to safety concerns, but it's not city property. So the city is not planning on replacing those stairs because we're not going to do that on private property.
So did the private property owner close it? I mean, is it a private citizen, or do you know much about what the ownership is and who to contact, or how we would make some progress in that area?
Yeah, typically when the city doesn't typically when developers come in, if they don't grant these areas to the city, then it's usually the two adjacent property owners that own that the properties. I don't have it up on the top of my head who exactly owns which one, but I know we've done research recently on those stairways, kind of the three leading up to the top, and
Yep.
none of which are city property.
I'm going
Okay.
to, Richard, I'm actually going to communicate with you on that separately, April, because as Jim Draper, I am also involved with San Rafael Heritage, and there has been some discussion amongst steering committee members of San Rafael Heritage about those staircases, and I think we need to connect on that. But I do have I have two questions that came to me before the meeting. And the first is from Bill Carney, who leads Sustainable San Rafael. You probably know who he is. Now, you may be aware, April's aware, but I'm not sure how many other people, aside from people on the that steering committee, that I have overseen an ad hoc committee about creating a street tree ordinance for the city of San Rafael. And Kate, I think Kate Powers is here. She's also serves on that. Anyway, there were, I think, 6 of us, and with Judy Schriedman's death, who led the Sierra Club, we are down to, I think, 5 of us. And Bill Carney's question for you is, when the street tree ordinance will go to the city council, and when the tree group will be able to review and comment on it in advance. This has been held up now for 6 months and counting, after 3 years previously waiting for legal review. So your comment, please.
Yeah, it's something we definitely want to do, but it's coming down to a staff capacity issue. We have a lot of things going on and a lot of things with deadlines that I know the street trees we want to do, but for instance, my department and legal have had to work on the streeteries because there was a deadline when they could no longer operate. And so we were working on that. We also had the dredge that we had the perfect opportunity to team up with the federal government. So we had to work on that. Otherwise, they're not back for 10 years. So we really have limited staff. And so we don't have the capacity to work on everything, but it's on our list and it's something that we want to do this fiscal year. We just don't have a date yet because we just don't have the staff, but we're getting to the point where the dredge is almost done. And we're at the point where the streeteries are, we're in the last couple months before people have to be in compliance. And so we're very close to like having the capacity to take on a new task.
He just wanted you to know that he feels that this should be a priority for the city, even though you have many other projects, that the trees of San Rafael in Tree City are pretty important. The next question comes from Mark Gaynor, who's here now, but I have the question in front of me. And Mark is interested in, I think it's 2 different issues, and he's expressed himself to your predecessor. But let me start with the second issue, just reporting that the stoplight timing on Arias on Nova Albion needs recalibration. It needs to more frequently change rather than a 4-minute plus wait. Yeah, that sounds like it's pretty long. And also coming out of Safeway's parking lot, we're talking North San Rafael, where the Safeway garbage disposal shed is. So I'm going to actually put this whole thing in chat so you can get the specifics. There's an issue with a light as well. It can be on for as long as 10 minutes. Now, here it goes. So I'm going to put this for everyone. And then Mark's issue, I even mentioned it to you when we spoke today, April. Mark is has been very, very adamant about the fact that DPW really has to advertise, maybe not during the rainy season, but during the rest of the year when they're going to be doing street cleaning. Because the equipment is, we're talking about really expensive equipment. And if no one gets any advance warning, people are parked there. And so effectively tax dollars are being used to pay for, labor and specialized cleaning vehicle to go up and down the middle of the street with no access to the curbs because the cars are lining the curbs. And I actually want to make a pitch for doing this during rainy season as well. I got a flat tire the other day, and it was explained to me by Kane's Tire that you're more apt to get flat tires in the rainy season than you are in the dry season because of the litter with screws and nails and everything like that is more apt to move, and a screw would fall in the middle of the roadway and then it would be flipped by your car to your rear wheel. He said virtually every flat tire we have is in the right rear wheel. So stuff like, this dangerous stuff that you don't want everybody to have. Yeah. Kane's Tires told me that this is like nonstop flat tires in San Rafael now. So I'm just reporting that. I see a question from Jeff. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, first I wanted to say thanks to April and her team for keeping our feet dry over the last couple of weeks. But I also wanted to find out, April, if you're up to date on what's going on reconnecting the jetty out at Loch Lomond and repair and restoration of the playground at Loch Lomond.
A little bit. I haven't heard in the last week or two, but it's currently, so the developer is currently working on it. I did have staff meet with the developer today to go walk part of it, to turn over part of the improvements over to the city. Well, sorry, to turn it over to the city, but it's part of the assessment district that maintains it. So I did not talk to them this afternoon to figure out how that conversation went. So unfortunately, I don't have the most current information, but I know there was a discussion to talk about if there's certain portions that they could bring, give over to the city's maintenance or through the assessment district, or if we're going to wait until all of the improvements are done. So unfortunately, I don't know, but I could find out shortly. I just didn't check today.
Okay.
I do have a question from someone who's interested in learning about participating in meetings that were mentioned about the streets. And I don't know, those should be open to the public, but whether you could give us more information about that.
I'm not sure what, so there's two public meetings come out. So the B Street one is next week. I think they posted it on Nextdoor. It's next Wednesday night. And then the other meeting is the one after that for 2nd and 4th Street is on January 26th. So in 2 weeks from today. Amy, if I send it to you, do you have everyone's contact information if I send you the PowerPoints, or if I could try to copy and paste it while
Wait, the PowerPoints about the meetings?
No, it had links to like the meeting or how to get on, how to hear more about the meeting.
Oh, you're talking about the PowerPoint that you presented this evening?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Jim, are you going to be able to post that? If she sends it?
I can try to copy and paste and multitask, but I
No,
want,
I mean, we want to have your PowerPoint on our website. It's just, it all depends upon Jim's availability. While he's thinking about it, thank you for putting that, April, in chat. There's a question, Richard, if you want to read the question from Kate.
Yeah, well, I have a number of questions, so let's cover some of the ones that have been in chat for a while. The first one is from Sue Dixon in West End. And Sue asks, will you be responsible for implementing the red no parking curb painting to allow for emergency vehicles in several areas of San Rafael? That was to happen last year. It was delayed, but wondering when additional updates will be provided.
yeah, I guess it's sort of a loaded question because it's responsible for, but so the fire department is the one dictating where the red curbs are. Occasionally Public Works is the one who paints them for fire. I know that there was some staff turnover both from Public Works and fires. The two people who were working on it both left.
Oh, boy.
But I thought I saw on Nextdoor today that there was an update on it from Thomas Wong, but I did not read what it said. Yeah, 2 days ago there was an update, and it talks about the second round of parking clarification in Crystal Park, Fair Hills, and West End neighborhoods are scheduled to start in February. So there's more detail on there. I don't know if you guys are on Nextdoor
I think probably most of us are.
here.
Okay,
I just added the link that they referred to from that post.
great, thank you, April.
I'm just going to make a pitch, Richard, before you go to the next question. April, I write these Fed flyers whenever I have information. I just send it out to people. So if you have, because I stopped reading Nextdoor with the app. I'll check it every once in a while, but there's so much posting going on that I don't have it like as available. But if you were to send links to me, just put me on your email chain, whatever, when you have these new programs or initiatives like the community meetings and the parking box initiatives, and I'll include that in the Fed flyer. Okay, thanks, Richard.
All right, so we were speaking about meetings just a bit ago, and here's a question from Grace Garrity with Responsible Growth Marin. The Northgate developer is having an open house on January 26th from 6 to 8 p.m. Can you move the 2nd and 4th improvement public meeting from that date to another date so it doesn't conflict?
Ooh.
That's going to be hard because we just mailed about 150 flyers for the
Gotcha.
26th. But I can ask them to record it so that it can be on the website for people who want to listen to it. So I'll ask staff on that, but I don't think, because all those flyers went out, that we can change it at this point.
Grace, go ahead and unmute yourself. Would it be sufficient, in addition to the recording, if you have questions, that you could submit your question in advance?
Yes, I was thinking before I wrote this that that's what some of our supporters might want to do. So we will send an e-blast to everyone. And if it's okay with you, April, I'll let them know that we'll let them know whether the meeting has been recorded.
And then if they have questions in advance, April, who should they send it to?
Yeah, I can
The
send you.
Department of Public Works.
Yeah, it'll eventually get to the right person. But there's a faster way. So I'm just trying to find
Thank
the person
you.
who's in charge of it. Her name's Joanna Kwok. So she's the right person. So I guess I could just. But she's also on our website. There is a 2nd and 4th Street website right now.
Okay, I can look it up. How do you spell her last name?
Or just put it in chat. Why don't you put her email in chat?
Yeah,
Oh, there it is.
I just did. Yeah.
Oh, cool. There you go.
Okay, I did spell.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
All right, so we have a question from Kate, who's on her iPhone. What department plans safe and comfortable access to parks and recreation areas? Safe routes to parks, ? Haven't seen that in the draft parks master plan.
Yeah, so access to parks is more likely part of it's probably should go in the bike and ped master plan is where it should go. I know there's going to be an update coming up next fiscal year. We're going to start that. But yeah, we can look at adding something about the safe routes, but usually the bike and ped master plan does go over different routes that need to be upgraded or things that need to be added. I know we recently added a sidewalk on Mission Avenue on the north side between B Street and I can't remember what the other street is, E maybe there. And so we look at the bike and ped master plan a lot. So if there's key routes that need to be updated, it should really be identified in that document.
Okay, great, thank you. Here's a sort of a sweeping one from Jocelyn Robertson from Gerstle Park. What is the status of sidewalk repair?
Yeah, so right now, so we had a pilot program, which I know a lot of residents in Gerstle Park were a part of. And so that pilot program, the city actually hired a contractor and then residents requested being part of the program. And then the city was kind of in the middle of trying to coordinate all of that. It's really a full-time job for at least one person at the city. And we didn't have that. So we've been trying to catch up on people who've signed up, but we recently switched the program. And you can find that also on our website. I know some pages are out of date, but we do try really hard to keep up our website. And so on the website, we actually have switched it. So if a homeowner wants to repair the sidewalk, the city will reimburse them for the same portion as if the city had hired the contractor. We just don't have the capacity to manage a contractor on a bunch of different properties. So we've flipped the program. The residents still have, or businesses still have to request from the city, and then we'll go out there and inspect so that the property owner knows what portion the city is willing to reimburse the property owners.
So they request through you, you inspect, and you let them know what portion would be covered and therefore reimbursed if they hired the contractor.
Yeah.
Okay, and do they need to front the money and complete the repair and then apply to you?
Yeah, it's detailed on our, here, I'll add another link.
Okay, and just off the cuff, any idea how long the waiting period would be between applying and getting the money back? Which may be an issue for, depending on the homeowner.
Yeah, if we've already agreed to it, it shouldn't take more than 2 months.
Okay,
But that we have to agree upon it before the work's done so that everyone's aware of kind of what it is, and then we go out and inspect it.
yep, got it.
Richard, before you go on, it's been pointed out that that there may be, people who've posed questions may have follow-up questions. So if it's okay, I just want to ask Josh if you have a follow-up question, because I have another follow-up question that we need to get to. Josh, did your question get answered sufficiently?
Yes,
Okay.
thanks.
So then let's go back, if it's okay, April, to the street sweeping program. Mark wanted to give you a chance to respond. I mean, we have the link. I looked at the link and I know he's familiar with it, but he was asking for a schedule so that we could, really put the equipment and the labor costs to good use.
Well, can I add something? Belvedere has a sign on Belvedere Avenue, no parking, street cleaning. I have not seen it anywhere else in the city. Other cities like San Francisco, of course, have those signs. Nobody looks at your deep into the website for the street cleaning schedule. I wouldn't have known about it. And I have a feeling a lot of people in my neighborhood don't even speak English, so they're not going to be looking at it. So there's no point in all this expense if there's no temporary sign up or there's no permanent sign up to tell people you can't park there. Do you have plans to do something about this? It's been going on for about 8 or 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk to staff about it and their thoughts. I mean, like I said, the winter, unfortunately, we're not gonna follow a schedule. It's really on an as-needed basis. It's really on where the worst.
No, but this goes on all year. You
Yeah,
never,
I know, but I'm just saying, we could put, posting signs that aren't valid half the year is difficult, right? Because we're not gonna follow the schedule in the winter.
how about temporary signs like horses?
Yeah, there's issues with that too. It depends on the, it depends on how wide the sidewalks are, wherever we're posting them. And so we'll have to look at it a little bit closer. I mean, maybe we just need to.
Don't even bother to street clean then, because you're just wasting taxpayer money. There's no point if they have to go up and down the middle of the street. Don't even do it.
Okay, well, thank you for following up on that, April. And, 8 to 10 years is a long time to wait. Go ahead, Richard, if there are any other questions.
There's one from Sue Dixon in West End. There was to be some additional traffic signal management and changes in the street configuration at West Crescent and Miracle Mile for U-turns, left turns, and keep clear. Any update or comments on that?
Yeah, so in our capital improvement program, we listed that we were going to design West Crescent intersection signal. And we currently have a team designing it. We're not sure if it's funded yet. It has to be, all of our funding is compared citywide. We don't specifically do one area or another unless we happen to get grant funding, in one area or another. So we're currently designing it. And then, part of it's going to be dependent on how much money 2nd and 4th Street costs, because we did get a grant there. If we have extra money there, then, perhaps we could pick up the signal too. I'm not sure at this point. We're in the very beginning stages of designing both of those. But our grant does not cover West Crescent, but there is a city match. So if there's leftover money from the city match, maybe we can do it there. At this point, it's just too early. Construction prices are they're all over the place. And so it's really hard for us to, really estimate how much all of that's going to cost. But we're designing it. So we'll have a design. So we'll know what.
All right. Amy, those are the questions that have been submitted to chat to date.
Awesome. Are there any other questions that you may have that you did not put into chat? If so, just wave your hand or go ahead, Sunny.
Wes Umak wanted to express the gratitude for the April Miller and all the teams came out this morning really quickly to mitigate the like a little bit of landslide by the 155 Pierce Road. So this is one of the 3 roads that we have on our street to travel to any other areas because we are on the hillside. So we really appreciate that. Thank you so much. The teams were great, the staff were all great, and they put the signages far enough so no other cars could come up and not able to turn around because there's no room to turn around basically if the truck comes or delivery truck comes. And one more thing that I just come to seeing I know there's a K Powers here, Kevin Haggard is here, they're all prior BPAC members. I've been attending BPAC meetings for last 3.5 years.
For people who don't know about BPAC, you want to say what it is?
Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. So this is a meeting that pretty much deciding a lot of things on the road in the Santa Fe, I believe. And also they are the I don't know who's now traffic engineers in DPW. Is it Rafa?
Yeah, Rafat's still here. And then our new person, his name's Nat.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I put his email up because he's working on the B Street. He's the one who's accepting comments for that.
So So I'm gonna comment this as, I mean, I was going to come to meet you, April, because it's a very deeper level of things that I have to discuss, not able to, I mean, so it's just something that I realized there's another layer of things that is so complicated that it's not something that I could all understood why this is very scary situation of a conversion of a CND, because I'm a pedestrian. I walk there. I got hit by a car 3 times so far since the conversion happened on 2020 August. I remember the day when it happened. If so Safe Street.
You're talking about the conversion to two-way?
Yes, the Safe Street, I forgot her name right now. She presented on BPAC meeting last 2 years ago in October, and she specifically talks about in the meeting, all the fatalities on the crosswalk is on the traffic they're going against the opposite direction to the making a left turn. And that's the majority of the fatalities for pedestrian and then vehicle accidents happening. We create, from the conversion on CND to two-way, we create the 12 new against the left turn, opposite direction intersections. And I have to show you the drawings I made.
I want to suggest, Sunny, that you and April could you meet
Yes,
with?
I'm gonna meet her
Sunny in
outside.
person? Okay,
This
because this is a very, very complicated issue. And like you said, we need to look at maps and try to make a difference.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the floor have a question that you'd like to pose? Go ahead, Alex. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, got it. I just wanted to make a plug for the street sweeper run through Spinnaker Point. Hopefully on a regular basis, but at least on an occasional basis with some advance notice of the day and time that the street sweeper would come by. We're not inundated with debris, but certainly at a time when it's convenient, it would be good to sort of collect up all the debris and leaves that are around. We'd appreciate that.
Can I ask you a question, Alex, or everyone here? I mean, if we were to send the schedules to this group, would you be able to distribute it? I mean,
Totally.
you're all part of the different neighborhoods. I know we have the website, but
Yeah, there are 16 neighborhoods, so those are the people that I would communicate with. It's not every neighborhood, but certainly those who are on our website.
And that the answer to that, April, is yes.
okay.
I think also we need to put the flyers on the vehicle's dashboard. I think physically you have to leave a note. People, if you understand the analytics on the next door, unless somebody's arguing and fighting, so people's actually clicking. Otherwise, all other posts that's like helpful for the neighbors post will go down bottom of the feed because it's not attracting any of the clicks.
So it could be that initially that kind of thing should happen when you institute a program so that people get used to it anyway. Thank you very much. Kevin?
April, again, on behalf of my neighborhood, the Glenwood neighborhood, I'd like to thank you and your staff for keeping our drains and culverts clean. And I know it's a lot of work. You don't have a lot of staff. I'm wondering if the Public Works Department has ever thought about adopting a program that San Francisco's adopted, which is I guess Adopt a Drain, and in which people would, part of their responsibility would be to keep the local drain in their neighborhood, the street drain, free of leaves and stuff. And I guess they've kind of made a fun activity of it, of being able to name that particular drain. And it's become kind of a community effort. I wonder if, and I know, I mean, you said you had 15 people that, you know, you have to do all this work. I'm wondering if there's either do that or are there any other things that local neighborhoods can do to be of assistance, not interfere with what you're doing, but be of assistance in all the work that you guys have to do.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. I'll definitely talk to staff about that and ideas. I know when I first started, I heard there's liability issues when people start helping out in storm drains. But I know I'm very thankful for everyone who has helped us over, in the winter, even just notifying us. I know we found out from what happened near Wes's house today, and we got a phone call. We immediately went out there. So, if we hear about it, we try our best to get out there as soon as possible. Sometimes we have to gauge, is it worse than what we're currently trying to fix? But yeah, I'll explore it more. I know we have a new assistant city attorney, so I'd be happy to talk to her to see, what her thoughts are on liability and getting official help from people. Yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot in places that are hard to access. So.
Richard, do you want to read Jim Draper's question?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Regarding street sweeping, does the city have access to the digital signs used for road closures? Perhaps they could be used to announce street cleaning as well.
That's a great idea.
We do. We own a few, so I'll have to talk to them about that. It is, just to be honest, it is difficult. I know we did a bunch of slurry work in the Canal neighborhood and Bret Hart over the last, this last summer, and to get cars to move is difficult. And we're doing something to help the pavement for one day, and so I think we could try to do it, but it's really just, it's hard trying to get people to move their cars, even if it's street sweeping. They want the roads clean, but we were trying to pave, and that we still couldn't get cars to move. So
Oh, no, you had no parking signs all over the place. as
yeah,
well.
there were
It's
still cars, and
It's tough.
we saw some creative signs neighbors put on cars. But yeah, I think that's a great idea to do some sort of signs like that. Hopefully that'll at least get majority of cars.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you for the idea.
Thanks.
Does that look like it's it, Richard?
Yes, it does.
All right, now, April, I think all of us are grateful for your leadership with the department, and also for taking on so many projects at once. It has to be just close to overwhelming, and we are also grateful that you took time out of your busy schedule to join us. You and I will be in touch regarding the trees, and any news that you have, you can send to me, and here's a link for this. You don't have to spend a lot of time on an email, and I can send some stuff out. Aside from that, on behalf of the Federation, I'd like to thank you, and to thank the public who attended. And if you represent a neighborhood association, be sure that your dues are up to date. You can pay them on our website. You'll need to send in a check, but you can fill out a form, and you can see that we work for you, and we're all about connecting the city and the county and the neighbors. So thanks again, April, and we're going to have our steering committee meeting now. So take care. Say hi to the gang.
Thank you.
Thank you.